Greetings to the body of the people. This is a man called Chris Dorsey. As you all know, it is September 11th, 2017. It is the 16th anniversary of the treasonous false flag attack on the American homeland here in Virginia and also in New York and Pennsylvania. And we're here to call out the culprits. It was a Mossad operation led mostly by dual Israeli citizens inside the United States government who control all the others. And we know that every individual that works in that building is guilty of treason, which is war against the people in violation of this document right here, Article 3, Section 3. So you'll find Article 3, Section 3 of the Constitution for the United States. And it basically says that only waging war against the people is treason. So here we go. Article 3, Section 3. Treason against the United States shall consist only in levying war against them. What is the United States government? It is the ordination of the body of the people, we the people, to protect our property. Or in adhering to their enemies. That's all those folks inside the federal building do. They only adhere to the enemies of the United States, those who carry out war against them. And of course, the Department of Homeland Security is located in there. Adhering to their enemies, giving them aid and comfort. That's all they do in that building. They don't do anything else. So we figured we'd switch it up. We normally either have it at the federal courthouse across the street or the Virginia State Capitol. I'm talking about our 9/11 demonstrations, or the Federal Reserve Bank, the privately owned, foreign-controlled, Jewish-run, unconstitutional Federal Reserve Bank. But we decided we're going to do it at the DHS headquarters because, according to the leaders of the current unlawful government, this document is out the window because those inside the federal building, they operate under something called Department of Homeland Security Continuity of Operations, or Continuity of Government. So 9/11 was used as a pretext for many things, not just for fighting Israel's war on their borders and the Greater Israel Project, but also to take away all the rights of all the God-given, constitutionally enumerated rights given to we the people as the ordainers and controllers of government. God creates man, and man creates government. Man can never subject God. Government can never subject man. I control my own mind. And also, according to the law of the land here in the Commonwealth of Virginia, which supersedes according to the 10th Amendment of this document, supersedes anything that this federal government does, which is nothing but servants of the people. All power is vested and consequently derived from the people, that magistrates are their trustees and servants, and at all times amenable to them. Now, we were just in front of City Hall. There doesn't seem to be that much of a demonstration going on. They're about to have a big race riot in this town on Saturday on Monument Avenue, and it's orchestrated entirely by the government. Every stage shooting, every mass shooting, every act of war, every false flag event is directed by those guys in there. Department of Homeland Security. And when the Richmond police they coordinate with all of these federal agencies. So do the state police. So that's what we have coming up here in Richmond. And I just wanted to say that it's time for the body of the people to take over control of all the valuable assets unlawfully usurped by the Department of Homeland Security and the unconstitutional, foreign-controlled United States government. It is a corporation masquerading as the United States government. That's what those folks inside that federal building are. And when you see the word federal or federally chartered corporation, you know there is nothing but fraud going on. Every corporation, including those who think that the criminals in so-called courthouses can incorporate or decapitate or make a corpse out of every single individual inside the United States. Everything to do with the financial system, obviously, is a fraud. Anyone who knows how the Federal Reserve banking system works and the monetization of debt and algorithmic computer programs creating quadrillions of dollars, more than the value of every commodity there ever was or ever will be. And so this is all fraud, and it's time for this fraud to come to an end. The only solution, hey, these militia types, besides the real militia, Virginia Militia, and all others who comprehend the law, they're controlled by the feds. The Neo-Confederates and the KKK, they don't even exist. They're nothing but federal agents. And the same with Antifa and Black Lives Matter, just nothing but federal agents. Every single organized so-called protest or opposition group is nothing but a front, on whether it's on the left or the right, for these guys. Those guys are the pulling their strings. And don't get it twisted, it's every corporation, it's every government agency, it's everyone who works at all in any sort of officialdom. Because everything is a fraud, and every single one of these protest movements is so absurd, and the militia groups think that they can make, a multi-trillion-dollar military stand down. That's not going to happen. And Antifa thinks that they can, or purports, because they're controlled, same with the militias, to think that they can reform this government into a fair, that's their cover story, fair, equitable arbiter. You see, that's not the way it's going to work. What we do in the militia, and what we've shown to millions of people, is we go on international television, inside the government buildings, and broadcast out on international television that the only solution is the lawful transfer of all valuable assets into the account of the militia. That means the militia controls everything in this building, everything in every military base around the world, United States that is, and all others. That we take back control of the United Kingdom and Europe, all the valuable assets, of the European and American governments, UK, all the assets, we require that they be handed over. We have this war waged against us. That's the only way that this problem is going to be solved. It's even more ridiculous to think that there's going to be some sort of resistance, because the government controls them all. And the law states that the people are supreme in the government. So all we're doing is requiring that the law be upheld. And this has resulted in every sort of dirty trick being played against me, assassination attempts, You can hear the plane that's flying overhead. I don't know what they're doing. There's nobody out here with me. In any event, it is time to end this criminal government, and I will read the lawful, and this comes from Virginia Constitution, based on the writings of John Locke, based on the writings of the Bible. This is the basis of our government. So we will read this. Government is or ought to be instituted for the common benefit, protection, and security of the people, nation, or community of all various modes and forms of government that is best, which is capable of producing the greatest degree of happiness and safety, and is most effectually secured against the danger of maladministration, and that when any government shall be found inadequate or contrary to these purposes, a majority of the community has the indubitable, inalienable, and indefeasible right to reform, alter, or abolish it. That's what we're requiring. That's what the law is requiring. This is Chris Dorsey of the Virginia Militia. Peace and God bless. Greetings to the body of people. This is a man called Chris Dorsey of the Virginia Militia, and it is September 11, 2017. We're down here at the Treasonous Supreme Court of Virginia. Every member of the Supreme Court and all employees of the Supreme Court of Virginia are guilty of treason. And the Supreme Court of Virginia is the overseer of the Bar Association and vice versa. And all Bar Association members are guilty of treason. That's engaging in war against the people in violation of Article 3, Section 3 of Constitution for the United States. We just made another video at the Federal Building, at the Dwight D. Eisenhower Richmond Federal Building about Article 3, Section 3, that's treason. We tied that into the Israeli Mossad directed U.S. Defense Department false flag attacks of September 11th. And now we're going to talk about the criminal nature of the Bar Association and how everything in government is a fraud and how everything the Bar Association does is against the Constitution. Number one, they don't operate under the common law, which is enumerated and mandated throughout Constitution for the United States. Another thing that the Supreme Court does is it violates Article 6, Section 2, Constitution and the laws of the United States, which shall be made in pursuance thereof, and all treaties made or which shall be made under the authority of the United States, which is ordained by we the people, and the people are supreme, shall be the supreme law of the land. That's the supreme law of the land. And the judges in every state shall be bound thereby, anything in the Constitution or laws of any state to the contrary notwithstanding. That means anything that is not in accordance to the Bill of Rights and the Constitution for the United States is null and void. Now I want to point out, there you see the ISIS, and this is a ancient Egyptian symbol, and that lets folks know that they're getting ready to enter the temple of Isis. And what I say is, there's no, the criminals inside the Supreme Court, they can't hide behind the veil of ISIS. They act in dishonor. They act in dishonor. They are not honorable in any form of ancient mystery religions or masonry or even Freemasonry. They're all engaged in fraud and dishonor. And it is time that all Bar Association attorneys, which are behind everything, the Federal Reserve Bank, the judges in the Supreme Court, the members of Congress, they're all members of an unconstitutional association. They call themselves Esquire, which is a title of nobility, which is prohibited in this document. Hey, it's a low-level title of nobility. It's really one of the lowest. And that is symbolic of the fact that lawyers are the lowest form of human being on the planet. and they act in dishonor even while operating under the unlawful UCC, Unified Commercial Code, Maritime Law. They're always acting in dishonor. And it is time for all the assets of this criminal organization right here to be turned over to the body of the people through the militia, which is the only lawful law enforcement arm in this document. And I shall read from Virginia Constitution here because we're standing in front of the criminal Supreme Court and Bar Association of Virginia. Whereas all power is vested in and consequently derived from the people, that magistrates are their trustees, they're the trustees, and servants, they're the servants, not us, and at all times amenable to them. Hey, they're not acting in an amenable fashion, and we require, as is mandated in Virginia Constitution, when any government shall be found to be inadequate or contrary to the purposes a majority of the community has an indubitable, inalienable, and indefeasible right to reform, alter, or abolish it in such manner as shall be judged most conducive to the public weal. Everybody in this country is a debt slave. We are all servants to the criminal, I don't know what you want to call it, 1%, those who are pulling the strings of government. Mostly they are dual Israeli citizens. But we're calling for the lawful seizure of all assets of the United States government and the Virginia state government, every millionaire and billionaire, and we're calling for the lawful restoration of the law of the land. And here we've got a visitor now, so we're going to turn the camera and we're going to get this camera off the tripod, and we're going to get on down the road, and we're going to watch this guy until he leaves, until he gets out of here with his criminal ass, and sign off. This is Chris Dorsey. Peace and God bless.